Huh? Yes, yes, how are you? Yes, can you hear me? Hello? Yes.
Recording in progress. Good morning.
Good morning, Chairperson.
Good morning, Chair.
I thought the meeting should be starting at 9. Can we establish if all members are in attendance and all the stakeholders?
Chair, we do have about 5 members now, but I'm just checking the Parliament Legal Service and the Office of the State Law Advice. I'm just calling them now.
Oh, they were not aware that they come to the meeting?
No, they are aware. I'm just checking why they're not joining yet.
Okay.
All
Okay,
right.
can we start in the next 5 minutes? Thanks.
All right. Morning, Chair.
Morning.
Yes, I did find the Parliament Legal Service. I'm just struggling to get the State Law Advisor. The phone number is off. I think we can start the meeting. The department is here already.
Okay, thanks very much, and good morning, honorable members again. Morning, the department, the ministry, the IEC, and all stakeholders who are in attendance. We are scheduled to deal with the 4 items, the correspondence from the IEC, and also the correspondence from the Chief Justice, and also the report from that we have received from the IEC on 2024 provincial and national elections to consider for adoption as we've deliberated around that. And the item number, the last item, which is a one-stopper border post before the update on the public hearing, it will appear that there are difficulties of coordination between ourselves with the Chief State Law Advisor, but we'll get a sense what is the approach we must take so that all those who are participating or contributed to this amendment bill were able to conclude and deliberate
Yebo.
on it. So I want to welcome you and will then invite Honorable Matonzi to note apologies and introduce stakeholders who are in the meeting so that on the items that will require their comment, if they're available, we'll give that opportunity to the members to comment. Mr. Matonzi?
Yes, good morning, Chair, and good morning, members. We have an apology from the Deputy Minister. He is unable to attend. And then also, Ms. Ngoweni indicated that no, she's here in the meeting, but she will leave at 10 o'clock to attend the Chief Whip Forum meeting, and then she will come back after 10 o'clock. And then that's all from my side, Chairperson. And then from the stakeholders, as we indicated, we have got the IEC, Ms. Jeanette Love, and Commissioner Mashinini, and then also Mr. Mashiho. And then from the department, we do have Moses and the DG and Mozi and Simamisa in the meeting. That's all. And from the parliament, we have got Mr. Lohotra, the legal service.
Okay, thanks very much. All apologies noted. We'll then move to the 3 items. The first item, I'll request Mr. Matonzi to flag the correspondence that was directed to us. And then we'll get a comment from the IC and establish an approach on how we must deal with this matter. Mr. Matonzi?
Yes, Chair. Just trying. I'm figuring out how to get the letter. I only see the letter from. Can I just quickly? Chairperson, I do have the letter, but I can't see it when I have to flag it. Yeah. Chairperson, can I flag the first one and then I'll ask Adam to assist with the other one, the one from the IEC? Can I flag the Chief Justice one? The other one, I can't see it on my screen.
Mr. Adams, can you assist with the first item? We're not yet at the Chief Justice.
Yes, Chair.
Yeah, because all of us, we knew that today is going to be a meeting and the items and all the correspondences, members of the public must benefit on the issues that we're dealing with. Can we get the first correspondence from the IEC?
Eddie, I've checked my emails. I don't have that letter.
I think now is appearing. I got it. I got it, Chair. I don't know why it took time to show. Yes, the letter, Chair.
Members, we've received this correspondence during our recess from the Independent Electoral Commission. And I think Mr. Matonsi will go through it and will receive a comment from the Independent Electoral Commission so that at least we prepare for the next session on this process that will be engaging on. As you know that they've already had a press conference last week or so detailing how they are preparing for 2026 local government elections and the areas of amendment that will be presenting before the committee and Parliament.
Yes, the letter is addressed to Chairperson of the Portfolio Committee on Home Affairs, tabling of the Electoral Amendment Bill 2025. Please receive warm greetings of the Commission. We further extend our best wishes for the successful implementation of the program of the committee for the current parliamentary session. Following various reviews and debriefing for the 2024 national and provincial election, the Commission has taken a decision not to propose legislative amendments ahead of the next general elections of municipal council. However, there are currently ongoing and unrelenting objection to voters on certain segments of the voters' roll. This objection gets situated ahead of by-elections we now conduct every week. Without legislative intervention, the current framework of objection may be used to impair the credibility of the general election. Therefore, legislative refinements are an opposite for the successful delivery of the prospective elections. To ameliorate the risk of impending election, we are currently drafting amendments to the Electoral Act. We intend to finalize the drafting and internal consultation by the end of August 2025. This will enable us to present the amendment bill to the Minister in the month of September 2025. In the circumstances, the Minister will probably only be able to table the bill in October 2025. As you are aware, it is perimeter for the Minister to procure cabinet approval before tabling bills. We therefore request the Chairperson to accommodate the processing of the bill in the fourth quarter program of the committee. I hope you find this request possible. Then the letter is signed by the Chairperson of the IEC, Mr. Mosotho Moepi, on 28 July 2025.
No, thanks very much, Mr. Matonsi. These are correspondence members as I've highlighted. Is there comment, Commissioner Love, on the correspondence and the intention of the Commission? Just would update.
Good morning, Chairperson. Good morning, honourable members. Chair, we hope that the letter is self-explanatory, but if there are questions from yourself or other members, we're happy to try and deal with those. I think our main concern was just to give you advance warning because we want to be sure that you're able in the fourth session to process the legislation, as you say, in advance of the preparations for the local government elections. Chair, we're in your hands, so if I could hand it to you.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Love. Members, is there any other comment on the correspondence, matters that you want to check with the IEC? Honourable Ross.
Thank you, Chair. Just one question from my side. The comment about the number of objections, etc., and especially before by-elections, it appears to be that it suggested that this is problematic. I'd just like to understand why that is problematic. And are these frivolous objections or are the objections valid? Because, Chair, to my understanding, we have a there was a ruling in Clockwe a long time back about having to get addresses of everybody, and this is an onerous process. But obviously during by-elections then, when there are legitimate objections raised, then they should be taken and analyzed, and it should be used to improve the voters' roll. So I would just like to get an understanding of why those objections are seen as a problem, especially if they are legitimate objections. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Mohale.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair, and greetings to all colleagues and the IEC. Chairperson, two questions. Firstly, is this the only proposed amendments that the IEC wants to make? Secondly, we have the Electoral Reform Panel, which is still due to table their report, and which will mean that there might be need to also make some of the amendments to the Electoral Act. So I want to understand the whole process. Are we going to have two separate processes? One which is this one initiated by the IEC, and the one that will possibly come after that electoral amendment report has been tabled. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Mohale. Honorable Disemte.
Thank you very much, Chair, for the opportunity. I think colleagues have spoken to the issues. Just one that I want to check as well is any time frame, noting that the local government elections are in 2026. We know that the date has not been determined yet, but I wanted to check that with these amendments that the IEC are bringing forth, do they think they have enough time for them to can be put together prior before the local government elections take place in 2026? Will that also not be impact on their preparations or on the work of the LGE for 2026? Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, honorable members. Deputy Commissioner Love.
Thanks very much, Chairperson, and to the honourable members. First of all, let me say that the issues raised by Honourable Roos, the issue is not about frivolous objections. I'm not saying we never get them, but that's not our concern. Our concern is that we need to be clearer about process and timeframes, and we don't want those kinds of technicalities in relation to improving the voters' roll to obstruct the possibility for us to certify the voters' roll in a manner that bears the confidence of the voters. So it's not about frivolity, it's about volume and the fact that we need to attend to some of the details in the process so that there is clarity on all sides of what is required and so on. I hope that answers that question. And then the questions from both other honourable members, Honourable Mohale and Modise Mpai, about the time frame and whether or not this is the only amendment. I think that Honourable Mohale really hit the nail on the head. We're aware that as a consequence of the panel report, the committee, Parliament, the nation might want to consider many amendments, and clearly these are amendments that are very impactful for the 2029 elections. And so our amendment is very located around the local government elections, and it's a technical amendment which we are wanting to separate from the bigger process. The reason that it's an amendment to the Electoral Act is simply because that act pertains to the voters' role, which is affecting all elections. But the broader amendments that may or may not arise as a consequence of the panel, we don't believe are ones that should impact on the local government elections for 2026. So we do believe that the time frame is realistic, given that this is we are looking at a minimalist approach, in the sense that we're not looking at all of the potentially broader issues that might arise, but in particular this issue that we're focusing in on. I hope that that answers all three questions, Chair. I'm sorry, Chairperson, through you, if I could just check with the Deputy CEO whether there's anything further that he would like to raise. Is that okay, Chairperson?
Yes, Commissioner Love.
Thanks. DCO Shiburi, is there anything from your side that you want to add?
No additions, thanks, VC. Thank you.
Over to you, Chair.
Okay, noted. Is there any other matter members want to raise? Adams, you can proceed.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, just to indicate that if the members do decide that we will prioritize this legislation, which it seems it is quite urgent, then I'll just need to revise the program for the for the fourth term. But we'll do that as soon as the members decide to proceed, and then we'll adapt accordingly. Just to bear in mind that as the Select Committee indicated yesterday, they need 2 to 3 months to process a bill, and it takes us on average 3 to 4 months for a minor technical bill. So if we start in December, we're looking at completing around a middle of the year, which this still gives the IEC very little time. But so we might have to move with some haste. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. What we'll do first is to note the letter from the IEC. Secondly, we'll then request the IEC to assist with the time frame or the intention of introducing the amendments to the committee, so that we align the work of the committee with that which you will be presenting to us, noting that the local government elections are close by, but also noting that once we've dealt with the matter in the portfolio committee, there will be a necessity to refer the matters to the National Council of Provinces. So it will be important, Commissioner Love, that you prepare a time frame or the readiness of the IEC and will align with our program so that we're able to slot the discussions which we'll bring in, and also able to prepare for the time frame on the public hearings or issuing for public comments on the amendment that could have been brought to our attention. So that is an important matter, so that we don't run cumbersome in relation to the processing of legislation. As you know, that the committee is going to engage in various legislations or amendments that we need to present before the House. Is that assisting the process, Deputy Commissioner Love?
Chairperson, thank you very much. Absolutely, it is very helpful. I am sure that CEO Shiburi, together with the CEO, will be able to coordinate the next day or so with Adam, so that the issues of timetable and so on can be clearer. And we will then also coordinate with the Select Committee as well as the Minister. Thank you very much, Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Deputy Commissioner Love and your team. Can we now move to the second item?
Chairperson, yes, the letter. Chairperson, can you hear me?
We can hear you, Mr. Matonsi.
Should I go through it?
Proceed.
Okay. This letter is addressed to the Speaker by the Chief Justice on the issue of the vacancies in the Electoral Commission. Then it says, I refer to a letter dated 11 February on the above subject in which you advised me that the terms of the office of the Chairperson of the Electoral Commission, Mr. M.S. Moyepia, and Commissioners Dr. N.P. Masuku and Judge D. Pillay are due to expire on 4 November 2025. You requested me in my capacity as the chairperson of the panel, envisaged in Section 6.3 of the Electoral Commission Act 1996, to initiate the process for filling of the 3 vacancies that will arise upon the expiry of the terms of the above-mentioned commissioners. Sorry. In terms of Section 6 of the Act, the process that needed to be initiated for the filling of the vacancies is as follows. The Speaker of the National Assembly requests the Chief Justice to establish and convene a panel to commence with the processes of filling the vacancies. The Chief Justice establishes a panel comprising herself as the chairperson of the panel, the chairperson of the Human Rights Commission, the chairperson of the Commission for Gender Equality, and the public protector. The chairperson of the panel, acting in accordance with Section 6.4 and the principle of transparency and openness, gives instruction to the publication of the notice calling for applications. Upon receipt of application, the panel compiles a short list. The panel conducts interview and thereafter submit a list of recommended candidates to the Committee of the National Assembly contemplated in Section 6.2d of the Act. Section 6.4 of the Act requires the panel to submit a list of no fewer than 8 recommended candidates to the Committee of the National Assembly referred to in subsection 2d of the Act. Section 6.1 of the Act provides that of the 5 members comprising the commission, 1 shall be a judge. The panel shall, in accordance with the principle of transparency and openness, make its recommendation with due regard to the person's suitability, qualification, and experience. As you are aware, the panel consists of myself as the chairperson of the South African Human Rights Commission, Mr. Nissen, the chairperson of the Commission for Gender Equality, Advocate Sipanya Mohale, and the public protector, Advocate K. Galeka. Following your request, the post that will be vacant when the above-mentioned commission's term of office expires were accordingly advertised, and suitable candidates were invited to submit their application. The panel received a total number of 77 applications for the vacancy. The panel met on 17 June 2025 and shortlisted 12 candidates for interviews. However, Ms. J. Libat and Advocate R.K. Sizani withdrew their nomination. As a result, only 10 candidates remain. The panel decided that the interview for the vacancy would be held on 21 and 22 July 2025. On 21 and 22 July 2025, the panel met and interviewed 10 candidates, bearing in mind the criteria in the Constitution of the Republic of South Africa 1996 and the Electoral Commission Act, and the panel unanimously decided to recommend and submit the following 8 candidates in no particular order. And then that is Judge M.I. Madondo, Judge D. Pillay, Advocates Chaplock Law, Ms. J. Pito, Mr. G. Abrams, Mr. M.S. Moyepia, Dr. R.L. Martin, and Mr. N.X. Nyembezi. The following are some of the key features that emerged from the curricula vitae and interview of the 8 candidates. Then Judge M.I. Madondo. It was noted that Judge M. Madondo, retired judge, president of the High Court, has a wealth of varying experience and skills which could benefit the Electoral Commission. He has a long judicial experience in the High Court and the Constitutional Court, held senior leadership position in the judiciary, and has chaired commissions of inquiry. He has demonstrated this ability to provide strategic direction. However, he did not demonstrate any innovative capacity and creative innovative capacity, creative, and enthusiasm to effect improvement to the Electoral Commission's operation. Most of his responses rely on research that will still needs to be conducted. There was also a concern that the demands of the job might take a toll on his health, although he declared that he is in good health. The panel resolved to recommend Judge Madondo to Parliament for consideration for the appointment as a commissioner. Number B is Judge Pillay. Judge Pillay is currently an electoral commissioner whose term of office expires for November 2025. As a result of this incumbency, she has wide experience in the electoral sphere and in electoral management, in addition to long judicial experience in the Labour Courts, High Court, and the Constitutional Court. The panel appreciated her approach on the appropriate dispute resolution and possible ways to improve on the operation of the IEC to execute its mandate efficiently and effectively. She provided a strong and clear vision for the Electoral Commission and exuded energy, enthusiasm, and curiosity in and knowledge of technological advances belaying her age. However, the panel was rather concerned by her defensiveness and reluctance to admit the challenges which the IEC experienced during her tenure. Her position relating to the diversity of South Africa and dealing with voter apathy was not entirely satisfactory. The panel resolved to recommend Judge Pillay for Parliament to consider for appointment as a commissioner. Advocate Chaplock Law was a long-term official at the Electoral Commission, has intimate knowledge of its mandate system and challenges with a cumulative institutional memory of 27 years and involved in every local and national election in South Africa since 1994. She has held roles at senior management level as a finance and corporate governance expert. The panel was impressed by her awareness of and sensitivity to the inequalities in the country. However, the panel noted that she offered no solution to bridging the digital divide. By her own admission, she is not a maintenance person and prefers to start projects and move on to the next project once they are established. This was a concern for the panel as the leader's futuristic vision requires patience and teamwork. She also did not articulate herself convincingly on how she will manage her migration to strategic leadership as demanded by the position, which will require a significant mind shift. The panel resolved to recommend Advocate Chaplock Law to Parliament for consideration for appointment as a commissioner. Ms. J. Pitso is deeply rooted in civil society. Her extensive experience observing elections internationally in her role in SADC and the UN will bring a valuable experience into South Africa's electoral system. She displayed an innate passion for electoral system processes and a deep understanding of the Electoral Commission's mandate and value to the South African democracy. Furthermore, her contribution to the out of the country election, for example, the Nigerian election involving massive voter numbers that were held seamlessly, without any violence and without previous experience. Her experience in the troubled Palestine and the insights from that experience, her knowledge of different forms of electronic voting, her involvement in resolving issues of the youth in impoverished areas, among her other qualities, mark her as an outstanding candidate for the position at hand. The panel agreed that Ms. Pitso would bring fresh energy, innovation, and critical skill to the Electoral Commission if appointed, and resolved to strongly recommend to Parliament for consideration for appointment as a commissioner. And then number 5 is Mr. G. Abrahams. Is a long-term official of the IEC, which he joined at a young age. He exhibited valuable institutional memory, a deep passion for his job, and a development expertise, and was brimming with numerous innovative ideas on addressing the Commission's challenges, modernizing its system and processes, and bringing voters, especially the youth, to the polls. His ideas included a creative use of hotlines, infusion of data, and specific lessons from other countries as some of the solutions that could be implemented. He's a solution-driven, and he neatly dissected the Electoral Commission's structure and flaws and preferred alternatives in a constructive manner. Mr. Abrams' honesty was palpable, and he readily admitted mistakes or weaknesses. He presented as a bold and honest visionary with concrete and careful sought out solution for the Commission's challenges. The panel resolved to strongly recommend Mr. Abrahams to Parliament for consideration for the appointment as a Commission. Then Mr. Miepia possesses the experience and skill set that are required for the position as an outgoing chairperson of the IEC. It is a matter of public record that he led the Commission successfully during trying times and steered it through the most challenging national election in 2024. However, the panel was concerned that he came across as defensive and would not admit any weaknesses when asked about the challenges within the institution. He was reluctant to acknowledge even those shortcomings of the IEC identified in court judgments, such as Mahlope, and then will not address this broader implication and seemed to gradually accept the rulings. It can be noted that in 2016, the Constitutional Court declared that the Electoral Commission's failure to obtain and record all reasonable available voters' addresses on the national voters' roll was inconsistent with its obligation in the Constitution and invalid. The court, however, suspended the declaration of invalidity until 30 June 2018. The court ordered that by that date, the Commission must have corrected its failures and obtained and recorded all addresses that were reasonably available as at 17 December 2003. That's the Mahlope order. On 21 May 2018, the Electoral Commission urgently applied to court seeking an extension exempting it from having to comply with the Mahlope order until 20 November 2019, after the 2019 election, after the 2019 election, sorry. In a majority judgment, the court agreed that the Commission had not complied with the order in Mahlope. Mr. Muyebga brightly dismissed suggestions made by another candidate on improving Commission system and appeared to lack willingness to accept the inputs of others and the soft skills of empathy and sensitivity required in a leader. The panel felt strongly that a leader should be honest and readily admit mistakes or weaknesses, be able to accept constructive criticism in his position, reassure the public and qualities that the candidate did not show during the interview. The panel was also concerned that Mr. Muyepia could not proffer any ideas on how he will improve institutional weaknesses, including the well-documented voter apathy in the country going forward. The panel resolved to recommend Mr. Muyepia to Parliament for consideration for appointment as a commissioner. Then Dr. Martin has extensive operational experience on an operational level gathered from various positions he had occupied. He is the Deputy Vice Chancellor at the Investor Vendor, which is the equivalent of a Director General post, a position that requires strategic direction from the incumbent. It was noted that the Investor Vendor has got a qualified audit and that Dr. Martin managed to turn things around for the university and change the audit to unqualified one. Dr. Martin has a business-oriented approach and is action-oriented in terms of execution, which could be beneficial to the Electoral Commission. His academic prowess and social work experience display his understanding of the social environment. His role in education brings about social engagement and the responsive nature that the Electoral Commission will resume. He also has extensive experience in human resources and labor law and has held mentoring and leadership roles. However, the panel's impression was that although Dr. Martin is a developmental specialist who makes a positive impact in position he occupies, he is not a strategic driver. He was not able to articulate clearly how he will use experience in the Electoral Commission and display neatly knowledge of the body and its role in a constitutional democracy. The panel resolved to recommend Dr. Martin to Parliament for consideration for appointment as a commissioner. Mr. X.N. Nyembezi is a keenly artistic and gave the strong impression of being a highly articulate human rights activist and a community builder. He has observed numerous elections as intimate understanding of the electoral environment. He displayed a deep understanding of social conditions, the role of the commission, how to contribute to its advancement. He creatively wove his experience from his leadership role in non-governmental organization dealing with art and youth, his HIV activism, his involvement with Black Search into the process of the Electoral Commission, and described clearly how the latter can be improved and the despondent citizen, especially the youth, revitalized. The panel unreservedly resolved to recommend Mr. Nyembezi to Parliament for consideration for appointment as a commissioner. This letter is accompanied by the curricula vitae of the recommended candidates as well as a transcript of the interview. The letter is signed by MML Maya, Chief Justice of the Republic of South Africa, and also as a chairperson of the IEC panel. That's all, Chair.
Thank you very much, Mr. Matonsi. Members, this is the report from the Chief Justice. As we know that the 3 commissioners, their term of office is due to expire. This is a reflection of the process that was undertaken by the panel, and they've presented this report to the Speaker. We therefore referred it to the committee as we've received a presentation, which we must process as the portfolio committee. I will want to propose the following, and members, you'll guide on how we must handle this discussion. One is that this report is accompanied by the interviews conducted. We have circulated to all members the panel interviews where members who were invited by the panel, and we can follow in terms of discussions there, just to ascertain the areas which are raised on the summary of the recommendations in this panel, in this report. Secondly, is that we'll give members an opportunity to further go and consult on these 3 names, on the 3 names that we must discuss and deliberate for purpose of recommending to the House. And subsequent to that, we'll schedule a date that we must deliberate and resolve and adopt the proposed names to be considered by the House and be submitted to the President. I must say that we are also time bound to process this matter quickly, so that the IEC is able to have a complement of the team that must process matters that are before the IEC. As we know that they are preparing for local government elections, and we need the entire complement of individuals that are proposed in this meeting. So those will be my 3 proposals to the members to consider or to add. And we think that at the time we're going to interface with these names or discussions, will not defer any other meeting. In that day, we'll therefore deal with this matter and write a report to the House for consideration. Can I invite members to comment? Honorable Makhale.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. Well, I noted the letter from the Office of the Chief Justice, and just my concern, Chair, is that there seems to be no young people being recommended for these particular positions. And I want to understand why. Maybe they didn't receive applications from majority of young people below the ages of 50 or 40. What could be the reason for that particular thing? Because we have noted this even in the when the electoral reform panel was constituted. We have raised this. So we're raising this now again, Chairperson, but it's really concerning. I mean, the median age in South Africa is around 35. But you look at the age of the people who are being recommended here, it's elderly people, and we have nothing against them. I mean, I'm not being ageist in any way, but it's just a concern that we seem not to be getting young people in this particular space. And my question is why is that? Or were there any applications that they received? Maybe these people did not have the adequate qualifications and experience. So we need to get an explanation in that regard. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Honorable Mkhale. Honorable Ruas.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, I just wanted to support your three proposals on the way forward. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Honorable Ruas. Honorable Machi.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Firstly, I would like to support the way forward put in place by the Chairperson, but I would like also, Chairperson, to appreciate that the women are represented. And I also have got to appreciate that they are not being put their place there as women just because they are just women. They do meet the criteria due to their experiences and the qualification. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Honorable Machi. Honorable Modisemta.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. We note the letter and the recommendations that have been put forward. I would also want to support to second the supported way forward and direction that you just gave. Thank you so much, Chair.
Thank you very much, Honorable Modisemta. Honorable Ngubane. Honorable Ngubane, you raised your hand. I'm not sure if you maybe unmute.
Hello, morning, Chair.
Yeah, proceed, Honorable Ngubane.
Okay, no, I think, Chair, as well, your proposal that this is the way forward. We're going to deal with the matter as well. We support it, and then we support the proposal that you've put on the table to manage the matter the way you've proposed. Thank you.
Okay, thanks very much, members, for the approach that we're taking. What we'll do further is to, on your matter, Honorable Mkhale, the reasoning for the shortlisting, at this point, we may not have that detail. What we'll do, we'll write a correspondence to the Speaker and to get a sense from the panel what are the issues in relation to the young age you are raising, people living with disability, broadly, if it's permissible to go to that extent in terms of the panel reasoning to the committee. And if we don't receive that response, given the framework in which they might have worked on, I don't think that would be another matter that can stall us to proceed on this process. But you are raising a critical matter, which it was also raised, I recall, when we were processing another committee or commissioner. There was members who raised this matter of the young people, which is a critical component of our society. So we'll get a sense from the speaker, through the speaker, to get a broadly how they've processed, whether young people responded to the advert, the shortlisting mechanism, what led to offloading the youth and people with disability, living with disability. So I think at the time we're going to come back to the issue, we'll then have a broader report. But I'm firmly agreeing with your resolve, members, that in our next meeting, we'll deliberate, including the issues that you have raised, and take a decision to submit to the House. Thank you very much. Can we now move to the last item on the agenda of the IEC?
Thank you, Chairperson. This one's for me to go through. This is the report in response to the report by the IEC on the national and provincial elections from the committee, highlighting some of the key issues raised. The Portfolio Committee on Home Affairs report on the 2024 National Provincial Elections report by the IEC, dated 3 September 2025. After consideration of the Independent Electoral Commission's report, the Portfolio Committee on Home Affairs reports as follows. The IEC tabled its report on the provincial and national elections in compliance with Section 190(1)(c) of the Constitution and of the Electoral Commission Act of 1996. The report provided Parliament with a comprehensive account of the management, conduct, and outcome of the elections. The IEC briefed the committee on 15 July 2025. The 2024 NPE were watershed moments for South Africa, marking 30 years of democracy in what was one of the most fiercely contested electoral events in the nation's history. For the first time since 1994, no single political party secured a majority, leading to a power-sharing arrangement. The elections saw an unprecedented 70 political parties and 11 independent candidates participate, for a total of 14,886 candidates vying for 887 legislative seats. The elections were conducted under the new Electoral Amendment Act of 2023, which for the first time allowed independent candidates to contest national and provincial legislative seats. This reform required significant logistical, technological, and voter education adjustments. Despite challenges including cyber attacks and organized misinformation campaigns, the IEC endeavored to uphold its constitutional mandate. A post-election survey confirmed that voters overwhelmingly perceived the elections as free and fair, and trust in the commission remained high despite electoral court contestation of results from several political parties. Remarks by the IEC chairperson. Mr. Moepe, chairperson of the IEC, delivered the opening remarks prior to the detailed presentation by the CEO on the election report. He indicated that the report attested to the extensive work undertaken by the IEC during the elections. He emphasized the national and provincial elections were free, fair, and credible. The IEC had inbuilt measures, checks, and balances that ensured the process could withstand various challenges. While the elections were tough, they were not compromised. The report stressed met both constitutional and international standards. The chairperson acknowledged that no election is without challenges. However, he highlighted that the scale of challenges encountered did not affect the outcomes of the elections. These challenges included the temporary leaderboard display issue at the Result Operations Center, long queues at certain voting stations, and problems with the voter management devices in approximately 800 voting districts. Despite these issues, South Africans experienced a largely peaceful election, even in the face of social media attacks directed at the IEC members and the Commission. On the issue of cybersecurity, the chairperson emphasized that the elections were neither hacked nor compromised. The temporary non-display results on the leaderboard for 2 hours occurred while the IEC was optimizing the system. He clarified that the leaderboard was not the actual result system, which was never compromised. Regarding queue management, he noted that voters experienced delays partly due to Section 24A of the Electoral Act, where some individuals attempted to vote at stations they were not registered. The Commission is reviewing measures to improve this process. On the amendment of Section 24A, he indicated that the responsibility rests with Parliament. The provision was originally introduced following allegations of double voting in 2019, and confirmed that the 24 elections with Section 24A in place, there were no such allegations. Further indicated that the implementation of the revised electoral system to allow independent candidates to contest in the elections ideally required 18 months preparation. However, the Commission was afforded only 2 months before the election to implement the new system. Chairperson noted that despite court challenges related to candidate nominations, the IEC successfully printed and delivered all required ballots without incident. Furthermore, he reported that the voters' roll grew by 1 million new voters for the 24 elections. Briefing by the CEO. The CEO gave a detailed presentation focusing primarily on the results system at the National Results Operations Center. He further explained that the 2-hour period during which no results were displayed were caused by a system inadvertently switching to do not display mode, and emphasized that this was not done intentionally. He reported the results were captured at the voting center by data capture. Before transmission, the results are audited by an independent external auditor who is assigned a unique IEC-issued code. Once audited, the results are uploaded to the results system database. From there, the data is duplicated into a data warehouse, disaster recovery system, and an additional backup copy. The results system then replicates the data to the ROC database, which is displayed on screens. It further replicates results for access by the public website, media, and political parties. The IEC explained that the transfer of results from the database to the data warehouse initially took around 30 minutes. Political parties and other stakeholders raised concerns about the delay in displaying results. In response, the IEC technicians optimized the system to reduce the processing times to 4 minutes. During this optimization, however, the system inadvertently set itself to do not display mode for 2 hours. Chief Electoral Officer assured stakeholders that the results remained securely stored in their database at all times and confirmed there was no collapse or compromise of the result systems. Key achievements. The IEC introduced the implementation of a revised electoral system following the enactment of the Electoral Amendment Act. The President signed the act into law on 3 May and came into effect on 8 May 2024. This legislation for the first time allowed independent candidates to contest seats at the national and provincial legislatures. In response, the IEC implemented significant changes to its electoral system, including the rewriting of the online candidate nomination system and the results system to accommodate the participation of independent candidates. Voter registration. Following 2 dedicated registration weekends, the certified voters roll grew to a record 27.78 million people, the highest figure since 1999. Of these, more than 2.4 million registrations and updates were processed through the online registration platform, which proved particularly popular among young people. The IEC highlighted that online voter registration remains a convenient and meaningful tool for citizens living outside the country. The system was implemented during the 2021 local government elections and has since been expanded to support broader participation. Special votes and out-of-country votes. The IEC reported that international segment of the special votes was one of the notable success stories of the 24 provincial and national elections. A total of 1.1 million South Africans cast special votes within the country, while 39,000 citizens voted abroad across 110 diplomatic missions. Crucially, legislative amendments requiring prior notification to vote outside one's registered district helped prevent any instances of double voting. Special votes were cast during the 2 days preceding the general elections of 29 May 2024, ensuring smooth operations on election day. The results system. We developed functions effectively and transparently, ensuring that the prompt release of results. The national and provincial operations centers were widely praised as theaters of electoral transparency. The result systems work reliably in full review of the political party agents, media, and observers, as all results were documented and independently audited. The ROC model, which has become a South African innovation, provided a central hub for electoral commissioners, the chief electoral officer, and the senior IEC executives to coordinate and deliver the delivery of the elections. Voter education. The IEC rolled out extensive voter education campaigns to prepare citizens for the introduction of the 3 ballot system, which was necessitated by the inclusion of independent candidates. The campaign explained how valid votes would translate into seats and across the 10 legislatures. Using a wide range of multimedia platforms, the campaign reached more than 2,500 education facilitators nationwide, and the Your Democracy, Make It Count campaign successfully increased voter awareness and participation. The IEC managed complex logistical demands of the election, printing and distributing approximately 90 million ballot papers, and recruited training of over 200,000 electoral staff to operate 23,000 voting stations. The number of voting districts increased by 1.6% compared to 2019, improving accessibility and ensuring broad coverage across the country. Countering misinformation. To address the growing threat of disinformation, the IEC established a proactive partnership with major social media platforms, including Google, Meta, and TikTok. Although through these collaborations, the Real 411 platform processed and addressed 289 complaints of misinformation and harmful content, these efforts helped to protect the integrity of the elections and maintain public trust. Security. Comprehensive election security plan coordinated by the NATS joint safeguarded electoral materials, personnel, and facilities. Members of our SAPs were deployed to every voting station, ensuring order and safety of all stakeholders. Challenges and areas for improvement. Voter disillusionment. Prior research done by the HSRC revealed that 57% of South Africans were dissatisfied with democracy. Among those who chose not to vote, 81% cited disillusionment, primarily due to poor service delivery and corruption, as the main reason for their disengagement. Legal challenges. The IEC faced an unprecedented 110 objections and approximately 87 legal applications, many of which were either withdrawn or dismissed for lack of credible evidence. These disputes consumed significant time and resources during the election period. Misinformation campaigns. Organized disinformation campaigns deliberately targeted the IEC with the aim of undermining confidence in electoral processes. While the Commission worked with most major social media platforms to curb information, the platform X, formerly Twitter, was identified as having the highest volume of complaints and did not participate in cooperative efforts to combat false information. IT system incidents. The election experienced several technical challenges. A coding error caused a 2-hour blackout of the public-facing results board. Importantly, no data was lost. Voter management devices experienced performance issues on the election day due to coding constraints linking Android's single main thread, which slowed down voter processing. Communication gaps. Many voters lacked adequate understanding of Section 24A requirements for prior notification to vote outside one's registered district. This lack of awareness created frustration at polling stations and contributed to a lower voter turnout. Long queues. Despite an increase in voter districts, some voters waited in queues for up to 2.5 hours. This long-standing challenge continues to raise concerns about accessibility and voter convenience. Staff performance. While the majority of electoral staff performed well, there were reports of negative voter experiences related to the etiquette and queue management skills of some temporary staff. A strong correlation was noted between the reliance on unemployed personnel and administrative inefficiencies. Late legislation. The Electoral Matters Amendment Act of 2024 was enacted less than a month before the election day. This late adoption delayed the finalization of regulations and placed a strain on the IEC's preparation processes. Financial constraints. Budget reductions by National Treasury created a cash flow challenge for the IEC. As a result, the Commission was forced to reprioritize its budget in order to cover election-related shortfalls, limiting its ability to invest in other critical areas. The committee's deliberations. The committee raised concerns about the relationship between data capturers and auditors, questioning the possibility of a collusion. Members asked who employed the data capturers and whether the auditing process complied with international standards. The IEC responded that data capturers are employed by the Commission, while auditing was outsourced through a tender process and was awarded to the consortium led by Grant Thornton. The IEC provides training to auditors who operate with a unique IEC-issued code. Auditors review the full set of results rather than relying on a sampling. IEC further clarified that ballot papers and result slips are retained for 6 months and thereafter disposed of in line with the law. Communication was stressed by the committee as the importance of clear communication with voters, particularly the use of simplified language. The IEC explained that its communication strategy is shaped by voter attitude and informed by research conducted by the HSRC. Accessibility for persons with disabilities. Members expressed concern that voting stations were not always accessible to persons with disabilities and the elderly. The committee emphasized the need for enhancing staff training to assist persons with disabilities and the elderly. The IEC highlighted measures already in place, including the universal ballot for blind voters and lower ballot boxes for wheelchair users, as well as the possibility to apply for special votes. Result system and ballot security. The committee welcomed the IEC's explanation of a temporary blackout of results at the ROC, but sought clarification on whether ballot papers are retained for recounts and whether they have barcodes for verification. The IEC confirmed that the ballot papers and results are retained for 6 months and before disposal, and that ballot papers include 12 security features, one of which was an anti-corruption one of which is an anti-copy mechanism. Commissioner Masuku, the committee inquired whether Commissioner Masuku was remunerated during his leave of absence. IEC confirmed that the commissioner was placed on leave to address a court case. Recruitment and training of staff. The committee expressed concern that staff recruitment and training often occurred too close to elections, leaving insufficient time for staff to fully understand processes and legislation. Members suggested that staff, particularly presiding officers, be employed for longer periods, possibly up to 5 years, to improve capacity and readiness. The IC indicated that minimum standards were applied in consultation with the National Political Liaison Committees, which plays an important role in binding consensus on electoral matters. Voter education and social media. The committee noted that political parties should play a greater role in voter education and suggested the use of social media influencers, including platforms like TikTok, to reach younger voters. The IHC cautioned, however, that engaging influencers could pose reputational risks if their conduct outside of election work was questionable. Section 24A, members expressed concern that 24A negatively impacted voter turnout, as voters arriving at stations where they were not registered were turned away and unable to cast compensatory votes. The IC acknowledged that while the provision is unpopular, it eliminated allegations of double voting. The committee recalled that during its oversight visit before the elections, the IEC demonstrated the functionality of the VMDs. However, on election days, the devices malfunctioned in certain areas, frustrating voters and political parties that had mobilized supporters. Members asked why the HSC was tasked with conducting both pre- and post-election surveys. The IEC admitted that the VMDs experienced challenges and that time constraints had prevented a full-scale dry run before the elections. While the devices would operate offline, in practice, they did not always. While the devices could operate offline, in practice, this did not always occur. Special votes. The committee recommended that all citizens aged 65 and above, as well as persons with a disability, automatically qualify for special votes to reduce long queues on election day. The IEC responded that approximately 1.4 million special votes were cast, translating into 11 seats. These votes are stored overnight before counting, raising some security concerns. The IEC added that some elderly voters still prefer to participate in person on the election day. Role of ward managers. Members saw clarity on the role of ward managers. The IEC explained that ward managers coordinate multiple voting stations, ensuring that staff recruitment and logistical distribution of materials are carried out efficiently and on time. The committee asked whether lifestyle audits and security vetting of IEC officials had been undertaken. The IEC responded that such measures had not been deemed necessary. It cautioned that vetting conducted under the executive authority might compromise the institution's independence. The committee resolved that the IEC should return to provide further clarity on this matter. Recommendations. After considering the IEC report on the 24 national and provincial elections and following its deliberations, the Portfolio Committee on Home Affairs makes the following recommendations. Recruitment and training of electoral staff. The IEC to review its recruitment and training processes to ensure that staff, particularly residing officers, are appointed and trained well in advance of elections. Consideration should be given to employing certain categories of staff for longer periods of time to strengthen institutional knowledge and capacity. The IEC must enhance measures to ensure that voting stations are fully accessible to persons with disabilities and the elderly. The IEC is to strengthen its systems for queue management and implement mechanisms to significantly reduce waiting times, including clearer communication of the Section 24A requirement. The IEC should conduct full-scale testing of VMDs and other IT systems well in advance of elections, including dry runs to minimize technical failures on the election day. The IEC should simplify and broaden communication strategies to ensure that voters clearly understand electoral processes, particularly new legislative requirements. Greater collaboration with political parties, civil society, and other partners should be pursued to strengthen voter education. The Parliament should give urgent attention to reviewing implementation of Section 24A of the Electoral Act in light of the impact on voter participation. The IEC should strengthen its security measures relating to ballot storage, transmission of results, and protection against misinformation campaigns. Consideration should be given to the introduction of lifestyle audits or security vetting for IEC officials, provided this does not compromise the Commission's independence. National Treasury should ensure that the IEC is provided with sufficient funding to carry out its constitutional mandate effectively. Budget cuts that undermine election preparations should be avoided. The role of ward managers should be reviewed and strengthened to enhance coordination at a local level, particularly regarding logistics and staff deployment. report to be considered. I thank you, Chairperson.
Thanks very much, Mr. Adams. We'll invite members, and also we'll also invite IC to comment on some of the issues. So we've received the detailed report from the Independent Electoral Commission. We've spent more time and more issues that were not clearer. The IC labored in detail on some of those issues. In your report, in the draft report, Mr. Adams, that you managed to work out, it would be important to give a short background on why the Section 24 capital A was carried and how we process it in Parliament, so that it must not seem as it have been carried by the Independent Electoral Commission and imposed on the electorate. So in the last elections, and I think the ICU may have records, in the 6th administration, when they presented a report, there was a query or a concern of attempt double voting. And we recall that there was also an institution within government that was requested to investigate that area, and I think through the Independent Electoral Commission. And the legacy report, if you go through it by that time, directed that we may need to strengthen this particular area and also caution the IEC to look on the matter, and so that we avoid this double voting or related matters that compromises the voting. And as a result, it was part of the Electoral Matters Amendment Bill that were conferenced around, and ultimately this provision was adopted by Parliament and tested in the previous provincial and national elections. So the committee, in our last discussion, both the committee and the IEC, we came to a resolve of a recommendation that the IEC must go and do a report on the assessment of this provision, its negative impact on the participation of the voters, and its positive impact of strengthening the legislation. So that is the articulation that it should reflect on our report. And we think because this provision will impact when we go to the national and provincial elections in 2029, but it's a matter that all of us we have paid attention to. So I'm raising it so that at least it's clearer in terms of the writings on our report. There was a matter which was raised on the vetting of the institution or the staff or the commissioners, and which the IEC has not ventured in that area. And also the lifestyle audit, if they do that. And the point which was raising by members was raised particularly on the strengthening the work and the ethical standard of the institution. And I can, without even have had any other matter that have highlighted to be a negative issue that was raised, except what we have been exposed to, the issues that involve one of the commissioners, and also the issue that involved one of the staff who leaked papers of the IEC, and subsequently there was she or he was expelled from the IEC. And the IEC, in terms of their plans, these areas are not even budgeted, but we resolved that the IEC may need to look on this matter so that they form part of the strategic plans within the department. We also highlighted an example of the Border Management Authority, where they have no budget, but the plans within the plans to conduct the lifestyle audit and related matters, but they can't function to that. So it was raised within that context that plans must also attach to budget, and I think committee members are fully aware on the underfunding of this institution. But the result is that the IEC component must also be subjected to the vetting and also the lifestyle audit. Members, can I invite you to comment on the report? And therefore, I'll invite also the IEC if there's any matter that was not correctly captured. Honorable Mtolo.
Thank you, Chairperson, and greeting to all colleagues and the representatives from the department present today. Chairperson, thank you very much. I welcome and appreciate the report on the 2024 national and provincial election from the IEC. The report shows both success and challenges of this important election, the first under the new Electoral Amendment Act. Chairperson, I note that the hard work of the IEC in making sure the elections were free and fair and credible, even the limited funds, misinformation, and some technical problems. The recommendation of our committee, such as a better training and earlier hiring of staff, making voting easier for the elderly and people with disability, clever voter education and communication. And Chair, I want to emphasize the reviewing section 24A are very important to improve our election in the future. And Chair, I have a question here. Can we get clarity on clause 6 on free transfer of money or goods within common control zone? What and how will this happen? I thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Honorable Mkhale.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. I've just have a number of issues that I want to highlight flowing from the report. First of all, Chairperson, when the report says the majority of people said the elections were free and fair, on which research are they relying on? They are relying on the HSRSC report. So that for me is problematic, Chairperson, and I will explain as I continue why is that. Secondly, the other issue I want to raise on the lifestyle audits and the security vetting. Chairperson, it's not just the commissioners who should be subjected to lifestyle audits and the security vetting. The very company that does auditing, we're told it was Rand Thornton that was doing the auditing of the results, must be subjected to security vetting. And the people who are at the capturing a face of the election results, they must be subjected to lifestyle audit and security vetting, because those are critical components of the electoral process. So those are people that must be identified to be subjected to that particular process. Thirdly, Chairperson, the issue of the VMD. The report, it must be noted that the VMD issue, their failure, it was not a new issue. It was something that had been identified as far back as the 2021 elections, that the IEC was mandated to go and correct. But seemingly, they failed to correct the failures of these VMD devices. So that must be in the report. It must be noted that this issue of the VMD, we did speak to the IEC a while back, and they couldn't rectify this particular issue. And lastly, Chair, the recommendation on the increase of the number of, in terms of the voters' roll, the increase in terms of the targeting of the over 10 million eligible South Africans who are not registered to vote, that there must be a program, there must be something that is done by the IEC to ensure that we reach out to this significant number of eligible unregistered South African voters, potential voters. So that must also be captured in the recommendations, Chairperson. That's my proposal, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Mkhale. Honorable Machi.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. We welcome the report. I've got few issues. It's just concerns and comments. Maybe questions can arise also. Firstly, Chairperson, I would like to commend the IEC for successfully introducing independent candidates into the electoral system, despite having only 2 months to implementing significant legislative changes. This reflects the institutional resilience under pressure. The other thing, Chairperson, with misinformation campaigns, particularly on X, formerly Twitter, undermining confidence in the electoral process, what additional partnership or legal mechanisms by Parliament and the IEC consider strengthening protection against this information? Since we used to experience long queues in many voting stations, I would be comfortable if there are some concrete measures put in place by the IEC intended to implement ahead of the next elections to reduce waiting times. The last one, while the IEC's communication campaigns reached millions, the report highlights gaps in voter understanding of new rules. The committee stresses that the simplified, accessible messages should be prioritized in all future voter education strategies. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, Honorable Ngubane.
Thank you very much, Chair. We note the report that is presented by the IEC, and we appreciate what the report says. Would like to emphasize as well that everything in the report that has been said, some of the elements are not true. That the IEC claims that everyone agreed on what on their presenting of the report, and we did argue a lot. And then now, Chair, there is something that I'm picking up as on the previous meeting, on the previous agenda item, that I thought it was only us as MK who are only seeing this attitude from IEC officials of bravery till you die, of not admitting even a single failure, even if the High Court has pronounced that you were wrong somewhere, you made error somewhere, but even it says even the chairperson of the IEC does not see that wrong. We thought we were the only one that are noticing that the IEC is hell-bent on denying everything, no matter whether they are wrong or whether they are right. As I said that, and the next thing is, Chair, is that we did dispute in the previous meeting that is presented by this report, that we objected on the IEC for using international organization, which we said it compromises the elections for the country, that they must try and do vetting on this company or try to make sure that the elections is free and fair and is solely not compromised by international organization. And then most of the international organizations that we ask them to have transparency on them and to show that these companies, service providers, we want to see their contract. They are not part and parcel of rigging elections. And we did actually, Chair, even on the previous meeting, raise that as MK Party, we raised it vehemently that the 2029 elections was rigged by the IEC, and the IEC failed the people of South Africa at a critical time where they were supposed to hold our elections as a high epitome. And then the IEC failed to rise to the occasion at a time critical for our sacred democracy. In that manner, Chair, they proved to be spitted on the graves of our forefathers of this who brought this democracy to us. Our forefathers like Mandela's, like Sisulu's, and all other people who fought and died for this democracy, that it must be free and fair. The 2029 elections were the elections where it was a decider. It was where our democracy needs to be proven to be strong, to be fair, to really be the representation of the people's will. But IEC failed to live into the occasion. They were not ready, even in capacitation, even in everything that they claimed to be prepared of. They were closing gates of voters' places, even when the queues were long. And there were lot of things. They even changed acts of people who can vote anywhere on the last minute. So IEC failed dismally to cap this election, to cap the rigging of these elections. The simple things, Chair, that we even raised with them is the failure of just sorting out the by-elections, visible unfairness of passing people, of people who have one addresses, simple things. How much more when people have to deal with an election that is a decider, that is highly contested? So in that nutshell, Chair, all what we're saying is that the IEC failed the people of South Africa dismally, and worse, they do not want to admit on anything they did wrong. Just say, yes, there were mistakes there and there and there, and point to them. We err here, and we try to correct this. And in the future, this is how we're going to correct these mistakes that happen on the election. When people don't admit at anything, and then the IEC, the IT system was down for 2 hours for no reasons, and no one is taking for that, not even for 2 hours or less than that. But no one is admitting to that. There was something wrong that was happening, which means the people on the background, there's not even a report of what happened, a thorough investigation report. So, Chair, in that nutshell, we do not feel that this report reflects. If it can put all these things that we've put in, then we can say, no, the report is a reflection, Chair, of what our comments have been captured on. IEC does not take the people of South Africa seriously. They are full of themselves. They think they are the gods of us here in South Africa. They are unaccountable to anyone, and they don't admit on the mistakes they've made. So I end there, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Roos.
Thank you, Chair. And just 3 things from my side. First of all, to agree on your assessment of point 8.6. I think the wording makes it look as if we have agreed to a legal review of Section 24A. It was definitely implemented as one of the measures to stop double voting, and I think the IEC did say that it indeed achieved that. But there was also the issue of running out of ballots. So it wasn't perfect before. Before, when anybody could come to any voting station, there were often some voting stations that received way more persons than they had thought. And then they ran out of ballots, and then ballots had to be printed and brought on. So that was also a massive problem before. So it's certainly something that the IEC was very strong on in terms of Section 24A and the need for it. But as you say, it's certainly worthwhile to report on what was its impact and how can it be better implemented as well, especially if people didn't know about it. Then in terms of 8.4, we're just talking there about the load testing of the system. And I think it will strengthen the report if the IEC mentioned that they were going to have their own load testing, but they were also going to have a consultant that would do the load testing before an election. And I think it's important that we just receive that report before the election, that we put that as a recommendation. And then finally, on sections 8.2 and 7.3, in terms of accessibility, yes, we did raise the matter of the physical accessibility to voting stations for those that are differently abled, but also the website, the registration website, etc. So one of the proposals was to say that the IEC should ensure that their websites comply to the web content accessibility guidelines. So these are well-known guidelines that ensure that websites are certified accessible for sight-impaired persons, etc. So I think that would also strengthen this report, just to add that, to extend on this recommendation of the physical accessibility, with also the accessibility of the website. Thank you, Chair.
Thanks very much, members. We will relook, Mr. Salmon, the draft and the recommendations. One of the skill we must always maintain as both public representative is the attitude of our articulation. That is important because we must hold Parliament and the institutions that account to Parliament with high regard. So where there are differences, we must raise it sharply without fear or favor, but within the framework of that which we represent. I'm trying to labor that to protect our member, that there's no demonstration on the part of the IEC to be accorded a status of being full of themselves. So I'm trying to allay that foundation that we may raise many issues, and I don't think that at particular time when they can respond to us like that these committee members are full of themselves. Members of the committee will appreciate that attitude of articulation. So I'm trying to protect the meeting and caution that we are allowed to raise any other matter, criticize, appreciate the work, but at least there must be a level of decorum on how we raise this other matter. So I see these are some of the issues that are being raised. Commissioner Miata, if you can comment with your team, and then we'll move forward. Sorry, Commissioner Love. Yeah, sorry.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair, and thank you, honourable members. I think that I think that the report is clearly the report of the committee, and within that, I think that there've been not just the clarifications that you as members will make, but there have been some really probably very helpful suggestions to include. For example, the issue about looking at measures that can further assist combating disinformation, issues to do with the inclusivity for differently abled people of various platforms and so on that the Commission uses. So I think that we would certainly welcome that. And I think that in terms of the difficulties, the mistakes, the challenges, I do think that our report went into quite a bit of detail, and some of those are highlighted in your report. The only two things that I did want to just touch on, and it's really just to say to the committee that in the discussion around the report, the committee did ask the Commission to come back to you in relation to questions of lifestyle audit and vetting, and the Commission is committed to doing that. So that the fact that that has been asked for and that you can expect a response, I think is something that is part of what is factual in the report. The second thing is that the report references that Dr. Masuku has been given leave of absence. I think that's the terminology that's used. This is not we're not in a position as fellow commissioners to do this. I think that is what we explained. All that we confirmed, and I think that's how it should be conveyed in the report, is that we can confirm that Dr. Masuku has not participated in any of the decision-making of the Commission. And I think that that's probably the more accurate reflection. Chairperson, as you know, I am here with the Deputy CEO, so he might have something further to add, but those were just the points from my side. With your permission, Chair, may I just call on the DCO just to see if there are any specific issues?
Thank you, DCO.
DCO Shiburi.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Vice Chairperson. Chairperson of the Portfolio Committee, thank you, and members. We note some of the suggestions and recommendations in the report. Those are receiving attention, and we would, in a future meeting, ask for an opportunity to update the committee on the steps that we have taken to ameliorate some of the challenges. We are planning an institutional indaba in middle of October to purposefully look at this report and other debriefs report, so that when we next encounter voters for the next election, we give them an improved service. Chair, one thing that I need to add is that the Commission takes its obligation to the Portfolio Committee, to Parliament, and to the people of South Africa very seriously. And Section 14.4 report is one of the tools available to this committee to hold the Commission accountable. In that report, the Commission has not tried to sugarcoat or hide the challenges that were attended to the election. For purposes of completeness and to avoid a situation that we were less than forthright with the committee, let me repeat those. There were three main challenges that the report indicates. One, issues of long queues in certain demographic areas. We are dealing with those. We'll appreciate the opportunity to share with the committee the things that we have taken, the steps that we have taken. The 2-hour downtime on the result system, on the leaderboard. We had explained in the committee, we've also included it in the report, a full explanation of what occurred when we tried to optimize the speed at which people and the public had access to the report. The last issue was the less than optimal performance of the voters roll app on the VMD. The VMD as a business tool works. It runs 5 applications that are developed in-house, and on voting day, we had a difficulty with the coding error on one of those apps, which is the voters roll app. It was not a reoccurrence as stated, it was a difficulty that we experienced for the first time in this election. I confirm the research is done by the Human Science Research Council, gauging people's perception of the commission and various other topics. And that research is done in representative number of voting stations on voting day. Unlike other researches, that one is done with people who had just stood in queues to vote. And the HSRC asked them their experience related to the outcome of the result. I confirm, Chair, that we will work on a report that distills the lessons learned from Section 24A. Lastly, we wish to appreciate the portfolio committee. We think the draft report represents substantively the discussions that we had with the committee and the responses that we provided during our meeting on the 15th of July when the commission presented the report. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thanks very much for that comments and response. Well appreciated. Members will now then, with the amendments made on the recommendation, Mr. Salmon, rework the, just correct where we've raised issues. And I think we have received a detailed report from the Independent Electoral Commission. And unfortunately, a matter that all of us will raise is that it could have been broadcasted so that both the interaction of members of the committee and the commission is able to be also members of society or the public participate in that discussion. Can I then invite hands with these amendments for members to consider the adoption of the report?
The Chair?
Honorable Makhale?
Yes, before you move, the other issue that I wanted to include on the report was the fact that the IEC could not give us the exact numbers of people who were turned away, who were affected by the issue of being turned away from the voting station. So that's another issue that we had raised, and we had requested a report on the issue of Section 24 in terms of the people who were affected.
Okay, let me, I think there are certain issues that we've given IEC to come back to the committee to report, particularly now that we are also be proceeding to local government election, which includes the Section 24 capital A, and also the matter that you are raising. Honorable Makhale, they will come back to the committee, and think it's noted. Any other matter? I see the end of Honorable Ngubane and Honorable Machi.
Suggest that as we take up this matter.
Yes, Chair. I think,
Sorry,
Chair, from my...
There are two meetings. Can we be...
Minister,
you are disrupting your input. Somebody must mute, please.
We had taken a decision that we...
Yeah, there's somebody who's disrupting. Can you can now proceed, Honorable Ngubane?
Okay, thanks a lot, Chair. Again, Chair, on the report, even of the IEC or this one, the IEC has failed, Chair, to explain why the policy or their laws or their rules of provincial and national elections that people who travel, soldiers, police, VIP protectors who have registered to vote for provincial and national anywhere where they are deployed, why that rule was changed on the last minute. That explanation has never came forth. And a lot of legal public servants in the army, in the police, have raised those issues that it was a strange election. They used to be deployed elsewhere to protect people from voting and to assist in bringing stability in the country. But when they go and a person who stays in Gauteng, when they are deployed in Mpumalanga, instead of voting there on that special vote to vote for the provincial on a provincial ballot and on national ballot, they were barred from doing that because the IEC changed that rule on the last minute. That needs to come out in this report because it never came out on the IE's election report on why that it was changed. We asked, Chair, that as well the explanation be brought forth. Because even on ours, we have proof, Chair, on the President Zuma's VIE protectors, who for years, they've been voting wherever they are, protecting their VIP person and the others. But on that day, things were changed and they were unable to do that. We want that to be explained or reflected, Chair, on that report. Thank you.
Okay, Honorable Machi.
Thank you, Chairperson. With those concerns and commitments, I would like to propose for the adoption. Thank you.
Okay, before the adoption, let me just assist members so that we don't apportion a matter that resides with Parliament. The laws which, and we agree here that there was a process that was undertaken, informed by the alleged double voting at that particular time. And the committee received a report from the IEC of the elections. We then advised the IEC to tighten the system in relation to avoid the alleged double voting. Subsequent to that, there was an electoral regime that was occasioned and process was undertaken, amendments flowed in, and adoption was carried by Parliament as a result of the engagement with public and members of political parties, in those we were in Parliament or not, and any other individual. The Section 24, capital A, is not residing solely with the IEC. It's a process that was undertaken by us as Parliament and through the amendments that we brought to the committee. So what we say in the committee is that, and what we have agreed, there must be an assessment on this Section 24 capital A provision, its impact in the last elections and its positive outcomes. And it's what we are raising here in the report, that they must come back to the committee with that assessment and we take up that engagement. So I'm trying to avoid that we brought this legislation later on, and you're correct, it has impact on members, on electorate. So, but that assessment must be carried by the IEC. So what you're proposing, Honorable Nguban, is already on the recommendation of this of our report, and we've carried it and it has been supported. We'll await for the IEC, as they've confirmed, that post their internal endeavor and all the matters that reside with the electoral process, they'll bring to the committee to discuss. So this matter of Section 24, capital A, it still has to come back to the committee for a discussion and assessment, and the issues that have limited members or the electorate to vote, voting stations, soldiers, nurses, and this and that, we're going to elaborate as this is a decision of the committee. So I thought that I must just elevate what we have Parliament has passed in terms of the process that we must engage in. We agree that there must be a review based on the framework that Parliament and the IEC will discuss at that particular point. And I thought that I was able to assert that framework of understanding on the legislative part. Honorable Machi, you have moved for adoption. Can I receive seconder?
Thank you, Chairperson. I second.
Seconded. Any objection? Honorable Ngubane?
Chairperson, we do not support the report, Chair. Thank you.
Noted. The report is
Chairperson, before we move, Chair.
Honorable Makhala?
Yes, Chair. Thank you, Chair. I wanted to ask, Chair, are we still going to get a report that includes all the added inputs that have been made?
Yes, correct. Yes, correct. Yeah.
So why, Chair, are we not waiting for that report before we adopt?
Before
It's just yeah. No, I'm saying why can't we wait until we get that final product before we adopt this one?
But we have labored on the report of the IEC, the issues that remember, it's a committee report. We're making recommendations.
Yes.
Of what must happen. We must adopt the report on the issues that arise from the report of the IEC, the challenges that have been identified, and the recommendation that IEC must need to carry. And the report must be presented to Parliament with those recommendations. The issue of the Section 24 capital A is part of the recommendation we must take to the House, that the committee has resolved that this Section 24 capital A, it must be reviewed. An assessment must be made by the IEC and be brought to the committee, because even if there's going to be an assessment, whether we must amend or not, we still have to provide, the IEC we still have to provide a legislation, an amendment to that extent. So if we'll wait for the process, the report to come, assessment to come, the assessment, whether we must issue the amendment to the House, invite public comments, and the report is not been adopted, I don't think that will be carrying the decision of the committee. So
no, Chair,
yes.
Sorry to interject you, sir. My apologies, Chair. But I'm not referring to that. I was saying this report with the amendments that I agree with you that have been made now, these changes on this the committee's report. I'm saying, can Adam give us the final report before we adopt? Yes.
Okay.
Before we adopt, can you get the final report from Adam, and then we can adopt it from there? Once we are satisfied that indeed all the issues that have been raised now here have been well captured.
Okay. No, I think I understand. I thought we must wait for the IEC assessment on any other matter. Mr. Adams?
That's fine, Chair. I can I can implement the changes today, send it to members, and we can adopt it in our next meeting.
Okay, perfect. I think that guidance is also proper. We'll then do that. Members, I think that will be assisting the process. Honorable Machi, I'm inviting you because you have supported for the.
No, thank you very much, Chairperson. But I did indicate that with inclusivity of the concerns and amendments, I move it for the adoption. I emphasize the issue of our concerns during the beginning, that with inclusivity of the concerns and the comments, I would like to propose for the adoption. Thank you, Chairperson.
Mr. Salmon, what are the issues that, can you recapture them?
Sure, Chairperson. As indicated, we need to provide a short history of the review of Section 24A and a review of point 8.6 on the impact, a report on the impact of the implementation of Section 24A. We need to receive a report on the external load testing service provider on the load test on the VMDs before the elections. Then there needs to be on Section 8.2 and 7.3 the web content accessibility guidelines, in addition to the physical disability concerns. Then related issues of discredited, we must relate the issue of the discredited commissioner and staff information leaks to the requirement for lifestyle audits and limited budget, as well as including auditors in the lifestyle as part to require lifestyle audits. Then the majority support indicated for the free and fair elections was done by the HSRC of a representative sample, but was not supported by all political parties. That the voter management devices issues were new, but that issues with the VMDs did occur in previous elections. That increased registration was insufficient given the amount of eligible voters. That you must express the objections of the report of the MK party to the free, fair, and credibility of the election report, and that to change that Dr. Masuko had not participated in any decisions of the commission, and that he was not placed on leave. And then that the impact of special votes on security personnel deployed elsewhere, but that's also part of the Section 24A review. Thank you, Chair.
Okay. Mr. Adams, let's note all the issues that are being identified by the members, include them in the report, and circulate those amendments to members. And in our next meeting, we'll formally consider the first item. We'll consider the adoption of the reports with the amendments that have already been carried. I think that will be sufficient to step off this item.
Supported, Chair.
Commissioner Love, thanks very much and your team for standing on these 3 items which are related to the IEC, except the second item in relation to the candidates, which would be you are not required to comment on it. And we hope that committee decisions on the time frame on the first item, as we have agreed, will be interacting both with our team, our content advisor, and these matters that we have recommended will then able to process them at a time. We are also bringing the amendment, proposed amendment, or the framework of what you intend to strengthen the work. Thanks very much, and the DC CEO and Commissioner Mashinini for standing on this item. We'll now step off this item, and you will be released. You can be released if you want to stand as Deputy Commissioner. Maybe your final bite.
Listen, thank you very much, and thank you to you and the members. We will step on if that's in order. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Members, now we're moving to the last 2 items. The one-stop border post. I'm sure members will want to have a recall on that. Can I invite Parliamentary Legal Services? Is Mr. Advocate Malikat in the meeting, Mr. Matonsi? Or the DG is in the meeting?
Advocate Malakat is in the meeting. The DG left to attend another meeting.
Okay. Parliamentary Legal Services, is there any other matter you want to raise? Or can you introduce the matter, Mr. Adams? I know that we've conducted public hearings or oral submissions and written. We've interacted with the process, and we've invited our stakeholders to respond to issues that were arising from the bill. There's an issue around on the minutes. I think it's 6.1, Mr. Matonsi, if you can go through it quickly, which was raised in our last meeting. And the intention is that we must consider the issues if there were areas that we need to deal with, and subsequently we need to also adopt the report. The other matter which we will, Mr. Matonsi, we may need to read to submit to the department is to update the committee on the process that is underway on the one-stop border post in relation to the triple P that the department has carried and the Border Management Authority, because this is occasioned by that process, how far, and the time frame on the issues that they briefed the committee earlier on. Can I invite you, Mr. Matonsi, to take us through, or Mr. Adams, before the legal team?
Oh, okay, Chair, I'll go because I've got the minutes in front of me. In the last meeting on the 22nd of July, the main issue that was raised was the issue of clause 6 of the bill, where officials from South Africa and the adjoining state will have freedom to move goods and money without taxation in the common zone area. And then the committee was concerned about that. And then the department, because there was the word official use, which was not defined. And then the department, agreed that they can insert a subsection in the bill to specifically define what the official use means. So that was the main one. Then the other issue that was raised was the timeline to implement the one-stop border post, and what will happen if there's a conflict with the law, South African law, with the adjoining state. And then the other issue that was raised, it was the issue of the transfer of subs to BMA. And then the other issue was the issue of the bill not being taken to NEDLEC. I think those are the main issues that were raised, the committee was concerned about. But the main one was clause 6, Chairperson.
Okay, can I invite Parliamentary Legal Services?
Good morning, Honorable Chair. Good morning, honorable members and colleagues. This is Lehoto Mushuko from Parliamentary Legal Services. We have made a presentation on the previous sitting of the committee regarding issues that were raised from the public. And at the moment, we don't have any comment to make unless there are specific issues that needs to be raised. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. The State Law Advisor?
Chairperson, I could not get the State Law Advisor, and then her phone is on voicemail, so she's not in the meeting today.
Okay.
Chairperson, we have the department with us. They were going to provide us with a reworking of the term official use. Chair.
Okay, but I was thinking about the Chief State Law Advisor. Okay, I'll come back to that matter. Advocate Malekate.
Good morning, Chair, and good morning to members of the Portfolio Committee. Chair, with regard to the clause 6, we did provide some guidance, and we said that we may need to define official use. And I think this is the matter, Chair, that we can then deal with in developing the A list on this matter together with the Parliamentary Legal Services as well as the Office of the Chief State Law Advisor, just to ensure that we deal with that matter. And I think also, Chair, on the issue relating to the NEDLEC process, you will recall that this was the issue that was raised by COSATU. But in the main, COSATU was also at the same time indicating that...
I'm not sure. Yeah. Okay.
But it's on the podium. Advocate Malekate?
Yes.
Oh, yeah,
can you hear me,
Chair? Yeah, we can hear you now. We can hear you.
No, I was indicating, Chair, that the issue of defining the term official use, we can then deal with it in the A list together with Parliamentary Legal Services and the Office of the Chief State Law Advisor. And that is also dependent on the committee giving us that instruction. And also I was just indicating that on the issue relating to NEDLAC process, just to remind the committee that COSATU, in raising that, they had also indicated that there was nothing relating to the bill, that in fact COSATU supports the bill as it is, minus the concerns that they had raised, but they were again they were supporting the bill. But I think, Chair, if that would be in order, the committee can then request the Office of the Parliamentary Legal Services, together with ourselves, to then develop the A list for adoption by the committee. Thank you.
Members, comments on the process? Honorable Ross?
Thanks, Chair. Just in terms of that section 6, I think it wasn't just the term of official use. Basically, what this clause was saying is that goods or money moved by an official for official use from the territory to an adjoining state through the common control zone are not subject to the import or export or entry laws of the Republic. And I think that the problem was just to say that you can't have officials coming and just walking through. So it's fine if one says that you are exempt from taxation, for example, or the SARS thing, but you would still need to bring the goods through and say what they were. You would need to have the bill of materials, etc. So to my remembrance, that was the main issue, was that you can't just have things going through the border where there's no bill of materials of what that was. So it's fine to say whatever official use is, but what this clause is essentially saying is that if you are coming for taking something through the border for official use, that you don't have to comply with any entry or exit laws of the Republic. So the taxation is fine, and it happens in other common control zones where they say, you're not subject to the taxation laws, but certainly the goods need to be inspected and people need to present their documentation. Thank you, Chair.
And Advocate Nolikade, I raised earlier on that was another matter which we're grappling with in the last committee meeting.
Yes, Chair. Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Honorable Ross. Chair, you would recall that in providing the department's responses to this clause, we had then indicated that what the clause seeks to exempt, it's goods that the officials of the Republic of South Africa and the adjoining state would have carried over to the one-stop border post area, and that what we were creating was to exempt those goods that have been carried over for official use from import and export taxes. And we had then made an example, Chair, that we are looking at tools of trade that may have been carried by officials of the two states to the one-stop border area, but also exempting, and we had then made an example to say, if within the one-stop border area that there were some form of fines that are collected or tariffs that are collected within the common control zone, that those fines should be exempted from import and export, solely because they were collected on the basis of enforcement of the laws of the Republic within the common control, but that any other thing that may have been carried over by an official, which is not for official use, those are not exempted from Clause 6 or the export and import legislation or rules and regulation. And the question then was to say, perhaps because the clause does not define what is meant for official use, that we should then have a definition for official use. Thank you, Chair.
Honourable Ross, are you captured?
Chair, like I said, so we fully understand that and agree. But if you look at the specific wording, it's saying that these officials taking goods for official use are not subject to the import or export laws and are not subject to the entry and exit laws. So this clause, it not only talks about taxation, it talks about being absolved from all entry and exit laws of the Republic. So that's where it needs to be changed, actually, is to say, fine, it's fine that there's official use, but they cannot be exempted from any entry or exit laws of the Republic. They can only be exempted from the taxation. That's where the wording needs to change.
Two issues, Advocate Malikat. On the issue of the NEDLEC, I think you must brief fully the committee or the DG, because NEDLEC composite various structures, in my understanding. And if there's a concern that was raised, and we did also raise it, we may need to get certainty in terms of the NEDLEC position around this process of consultation to avoid to be taken to court. That is another area. And I hear you are raising another labor that supports, which they participated in our public hearing. So it's an area that we need to have clarity on, not on the passing statement. Secondly, is the wording in terms of articulation on the bill in relating to the matter that you are responding on, and the items as you have identified that may need to be subjected to the exemption. So we may need to properly rework the wording so that when you develop a list, at least it's correctly captured and will able to process it as such. Can I get an understanding from you, Advocate Malekate, and also Parliamentary Legal Services? And unfortunate part is that the Chief State Law Advisor are not in the meeting on the proposal that is coming from the committee. Advocate Malekate and the Parliamentary Legal Services.
Now, thank you, Chair. When we will develop the or rework clause 6 to ensure that it does not, or it comes out clearly that what Honorable Ross has raised, but also to ensure that we define what official use is meant. So, and then once we have done that, we will then provide the A list to the committee for the committee to have regarded to and to proceed. But on the issue relating to NEDLEC, I would liaise with the Director General so that we in the next meeting we then deal with the issue.
Okay. So we will then move to the Parliamentary Legal Services. Do you have an input?
No, I don't, Chair, except to agree that the wording need to be reworked so that it provides clarity as to what is exempt and what is not exempt, and that will be provided in the A list. Thank you so much.
All right. Thanks very much, members and the team on this matter. Mr. Matonzi?
Yes, Chair.
So,
Hello?
sorry, I wanted to say we may need to alert the chief state law advisor on the process moving forward to consider the A list. Now that they were not in the meeting and the issues that have been carried, and in our next session we'll then deal with the A list to consider all the clauses which are proposed for amendment.
Okay, Chair, I will do that.
Thank you very much. Can we then move to the last item?
Chairperson?
Proceed, Mr. Martins.
Yes, yeah. This is with the public hearing on the marriage bill, we only left with two provinces, that is the Western Cape and the Popo province. Then we are proposing that we deal with the Western Cape from the 27th of October until the 29th of October. And then because during the middle of October, we'll be dealing with the BRRR. So those are the dates that we have identified so far. The municipality there that have been identified is the Garden Road District Municipality. And then we'll be focusing at the Naisna Local Municipality. Then the second one is the Cape Wineland District Municipality. And then we'll focus at Worcester. That is Breeder Valley Local Municipality at Worcester. And then the last one, it is the city of Cape Town. And then we are looking at the Khayelitsha. And I've just drafted some notes here in terms of the distances that will on the 26th of October, and then we fly into George Airport, and then we drive to Neisen, which is about I think about 56 kilometers. And then from there, we will have the public hearings on the 27th. After the hearing, then we drive about 56 kilometers back to George and fly down to Cape Town. And then drive to Worcester, if that is going to be possible for 1 hour 30, is it 1 hour 30 minutes? To Worcester and sleep there. And have public hearing on the 28th of October in Worcester. And then after the public hearing, then we'll come back to Cape Town. And then on the 29th, then there will be public hearings. And then on the 18th, then the delegation will fly out of Cape Town. I think that will be on a Friday, if I'm not mistaken. Then Limpopo, we are looking at the 3rd to the 7th of November. The chairperson has made some changes here, so I was not able to make changes now during the meeting because I was busy taking notes. And then we will be starting, it will be the 3 until the 7th of November, but we'll be starting with Mopani. I'll make the changes. We'll be starting with Mopani district. In other words, we'll fly into Polokwane and drive to Tzaneen, sleep there, and then have public hearings at Linyenye. And then from there, we check out from the hotel, and then we drive to Vembe, the district municipality. And then we have the public hearings at Thulamelo, local municipality, that will be in Thohoyandou. Then after that, then we drive, and then we'll rest in Polokwane. We'll rest in Polokwane on the 6th. And then on the 5th, we'll drive to Polokwane, sleep there. And then on the 6th in the morning, then the delegation will drive to Provincial and have the public hearings on the 7th of November at Elias Mutswaledi, local municipality, that's Kukune district municipality. And then from there, after the public hearings, because the distance from Provincial to Polokwane and Provincial to Johannesburg is almost the same, then there will be a delegation that the delegation will drive to Johannesburg. And then those that are from outside of Johannesburg will sleep at OR Tambo Airport. And then those who are from Joburg, then they'll go home. and then we'll organize a combi to take the chairperson back to Polokwane. So I'm not going to go through this because I'm going to change it to align to what I've just briefed the members in terms of the distances on the advice of the chairperson to start with Tzanini, go to Endo, and then go to Sekhukhune. Yeah, that's that, chairperson.
Thank you, members. Comments?
We note, Chairperson.
Honorable Mohale?
Thank you, Chair. Chairman, I don't know if we can't restructure it, Chair, because we're doing the zigzag that we did when we were in the Free State. I mean, to move from Tzaneen to Thulamela in Venda we're going up, and then we move from Venda again, or going down to Groblersdal. We're doing the same zigzag that we do there in the Free State. So I don't know, Chair, can we start maybe in Groblersdal as first public hearings, then move to the next town, which is Tzaneen, and then move to the next town, which is Thulamela or Venda. It's just my proposals, Chair. Then from Venda, of course, we can drive down to Polokwane and fly out.
Yeah, I see, Honorable Mohale, that you're mixing the routes. We've checked with the parliamentary PGO. Let's subject these two issues to the main co. Let's note all the issues, and then we'll finalize also with the PGO and also the team of parliamentary education unit. As all the public hearings, when we engage with the PDO and the public hearings, and we note all the concerns that members have raised. Is there any other matter noted, Honorable Mohale, and noted, Honorable Machi, Honorable Ngubane?
Yeah, Chair, with what Honorable Mohale is raising, Chair, if he's raising that there is same zigzag in Limpopo like it was on the previous election, then it will, from my side, raise suspicion that probably there will be the same zigzag even in the Western Cape. Can our secretary, Mr. Eddie Matonzi, work with his team to make sure that that zigzag that we always do, all other inputs have been taken into consideration, and even verify the routes, especially with the people who knows those provinces well, that it will be better if there's any other alternative, better route that won't make us run around like we did in the Free State. Because I'm sensing now that if the person who knows Limpopo very well, Mr. Mohale, is saying there's a challenge in zigzagging, I'll assume there might be in the Western Cape. But all I'm saying is, can Mr. Matonzi make sure that his planning is incorporated by even the views of people who knows provinces very well before it come and be presented to us? Thanks, Chair.
Okay. Noted. Members, all the dates we agree on will deal with the issues that the members are raising, and I will then communicate. But thanks very much for the comments. And
Sorry, Chairperson.
Honorable Machi?
No, thank you very much, Chairperson. No, I would just a plea, Chairperson, that to those who are facilitating this public hearing, make the point that the people who attended the workshop or the workshops should be the ones who should be at the venues, even if we can't avoid that influx of other people that do not understand the document. So then, to prevent the things that happened in the Uppington, I think it's in Uppington, where you find out that most of the people, they didn't even understand. They were not being informed about the that workshop or that marriage bill. They were just there for their own agendas. Even if we can say it's a political agenda, which was out of what we're there for. To make it a point, just to make it a point that most of the people that will be attending are the people that they've been met with them during their educational processes. Thank you.
Well, Honorable Matt, you're raising an important matter, and thanks for reminding us that the experience of the last committee public hearings demonstrated that there was no sufficient work that was done. Even if it was done, there was a strong mobilization on one matter. And people, they've moved from the other public hearing to where we were, the previous public hearing, and drive to Uppington. You can see the same people and mobilizing society, whether they reject or accept the proposed amendment bill, but the manner in which they've framed to mobilize people to come and denigrate a particular provision as proposed in amendment. So I agree fully with you. We agreed with Mr. Matonsi and that we are going to meet with the education unit and also the team that assist us to work on the logistics. There was a concern also just raised by the police that also in terms of the assessment of that public hearing, which was deposited to us and the head of the team in Parliament. So it's a matter that we're dealing with, and I'm happy that you have raised it sharply, Honorable Maji. I must also say that appreciate the collective work of all members in relation to so far the work that we've been demonstrating and how we've been handling or facilitating this public hearing, including the last public hearing, which was facilitated by Honorable Ngubane. We want to acknowledge the collective efforts and also the guidance of the team that we always travel with. Now that we have ended this, all the items, members, we will take forward issues that we have resolved on, and will update our members in our next meeting. There's no any other announcement, Mr. Matonsi or Adams?
No other announcement, Chairperson, except to say that based on the days that the committee has agreed, I'm going to submit a political application. And then once we have resolved on the issue of the rules, and then when Mr. Thurston Arens does the financial application, then it will take into consideration those changes of the rules.
Okay, and also to remind members on the deadline, you have been requested to do your medical process, and then you submit as you've been requested by the secretary. Thanks very much, members, and thanks very much all stakeholders in attendance. Thanks very much for contributing to all the issues. We'll also remind members to engage on the 2 items that we'll be engaged in our next meeting, the process of the resolving on the candidates for the IEC, and also we'll await the IEC. Mr. Matonsi, once we conclude this meeting, also we process the correspondence to the IEC on the decision that we have taken and the process that we must engage on. Thanks very much. The meeting stands adjourned.
Chairperson.
Thank you, Chair. Thanks a lot, Chair. All right, thanks.